Okay, people, especially to my people in the US, this is my new chapbook. It's called Ballast. There's a UK version that's going to come out called Ballast, a remix. So this is different, and one of the things that's different about it is a poem at the end, a long poem called Reconfiguration, My Father's Drum, which was first published in the International Pen magazine sometime last year, and I mean 2008. But the rest of the poems are pretty much the same. So if you're in the UK, I wouldn't say, get this from the US, unless you just want to get everything I ever publish. But this is out on Achioti Press, and their website is www.achiotipress.com, and Achioti is spelled A-C-H-I-O-T-E. That's A-C-H-I-O-T-E press.com. Okay, so I'm going to read a couple of poems from this, one of the Ballast series, and then the first part and the last part of Reconfiguration. So let me see what I will read from Ballast. The Ballast series is a really weird series. Actually, the whole chapbook is a bit weird, but the Ballast series reimagines the slave trade, what it would have been like if it was done by a balloon instead of ship, in a sense, or kind of questions some of the things that happened during the slave trade, that happened while it was happening by ship, and kind of compares it to what would have happened if it was a balloon instead of a ship. Stuff like that. Really weird. And it's got some connections with Salvador Dali, because at the time I was writing them, I went to the Dali Museum in Paris, and I found the titles of his paintings very evocative in a sense, and so here we go. So this one is called Ballast 5, The Persistence of Memory. Cast as mushrooms, the elevation anchored to conditions of shifting winds, temperature, and the expertise of their cloud-hued captains. These vessels would have borne their cargo away, home bright in the distance, fading. Indeed, the forced labor still may have prevailed, families shackled to the impossible demands of plantation owners. However, one might decode the flexed helix of how the persistence of memory informed the shaping of cheeks as domes akin to a balloon's envelope. How kindred fire within a dizzy one could produce the height of ecstasy from sound. How refused goggles for the hue of their eyes, wonders were blinded by altitude, yet retained enough wind to sing of sunshine generations later. Quite simply, genetic memory made metaphor. Musical time stretched like currents, songs escaping to ribbon the sky, like a whipped hem of waves laying claim to the shore. And then I'll go to Reconfiguration, My Father's Drum. This is the first part. I'll try and hold it like this so I can kind of look while I'm reading. I usually would memorize a poem before I read it, but my memory is not what it used to be. 1. Somebody please tell my Father in heaven. I'll start again. Somebody please tell my Father to open his window in heaven and let my questions in. I'm choking on mystery, for all I see is off-white paint, the color the decorators used when they last refurbished Etheria. I think the windows are stuck, glued together by an excess of pristine oil paint, because my father liked open spaces. He would never shut himself in. Could somebody check? Is anyone going that way? I'm dying to ask him for answers. Did he know I would rise to fall upon a page, stretching my wonderings, an ever-flattening cursive that seeks to slip beneath every door, into the ring of all possibilities? Why didn't he warn me that the flicker of fireflies is the only light that persists beyond the incandescence created by a human head? I tiptoe over the cover of night, bearing uncertainties on my shoulder. A door slams. Is that the wind or a ship-bound ghost? It's my father banging songs on his window. The shadow of night plays light games with me. I begin with the knowledge that I am, alive but dreaming. My mother appears on the dance floor, daring her sweat to wrap around her body, keep her captive like a watch encircling a wrist under the guise of time. Tick, tock. The revolution comes in the cloak of my father, dark under a glitter ball that spins lives into fragments. Everything disintegrates into lost partners. A hand seeks an arm, a leg, a space, a smile, an eye, a kiss, lips, a dream, a place to stay, somewhere unforgettable, a space like night. I have forgotten the dream already. My memory is a hanging darkness clearer than night. Its mango fall drumbeat changes like a heartthrob that knows love. And if I have lost my dance steps, how can I ask my father for answers in a drum? And then the last part of that poem I'll read as well. It seems like always the beginning, even in the end, is the word the winning way. It seems like always the beginning, even in the end, is the word the winning way. Dumpa, dumpa, dumpa. The talking drum of a window frame is djembeing a message from the edge of its hinge. There are no words, but I remind you that stray dogs and babies respond to tone long before the ear forms letters in the well of his memory. And mark how a train door roughs a woman up to the order of a master long dead. A typical morning. This is where I throw my line in, with the needle of time, hoping for a stitch of meaning from a patchy memory. My mother is Mary, Mother of God, knows how many ideas, subdued to raise the hairlines of 4 children blessed with jungle-like hair. My father is no Joe, except he too was a man betrayed by a symbol of the church. He liked the wild, sided with the underdog, and smiled like a baby. Even behind that damn window of his, he probably can't name the plants I've stepped on in my wanderings. But he loved them all, like his father before him, who healed others though he couldn't cure his own temper, who left a fortune to a dog priest that adapted easily to the life of a rich man and forgot his sermons. It is thus my father went, leaving what he was left, nothing, except a sheath of questions, the love of plants, and the ability to speak in stone tones. In the upturned drum of his swan song, a seashell rhythm mimics the motion of trees. Somewhere a child asks, what is the meaning of all this? But his father is asleep behind a window painted the color of heaven. I will take the child's hand and show him the map of his existence. Tell him that he can play on a drum with the directions beneath stretched skin. Let the mist settle, point to the sweat of the dawn's coming and say, this is what we share with plants. Condensation. We are condensed from kingdoms into countries, history, books. The child will pay me with stones, and my dream drum will begin.